Good morning, Turfs Up Radio. Wayne Voles, Profits Unlimited, coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky. Yes, indeedy. Home of the Equip Expo. Yes, it is the week of the Expo. I heard Aaron already this morning talking with somebody. I think it was Dixie Chopper. I'm not sure who he had on there. I think, but headed in from I think Newcastle, Indiana already, and there's going to be a lot of people heading this way without a doubt. A lot of people are already out here. There's a ton of stuff already sitting out there at the expo for you guys that this might be your travel day or if tomorrow's your travel day. But it is expo week, and we're all looking forward to that. I know you guys are looking forward to it that are coming for sure. And for those that can't make it, hey, we're going to make you feel real good about it. But before we get into all that, when I say we're going to make you feel real good about it, oh my goodness, we can't take this. Think. So there we go. We and they always call it 10 o'clock, you know. Katie, by chance, do you have Joey's number? We can it's a guy doing some concrete work for us today. So, anyways, he's leaving a voicemail. We'll have Katie can check that. Or she's going to see if it's got his number. She's probably just making sure he's going to be doing a driveway for Katie so she can get moved in her new house. Absolutely. So, but anyways, I can send it to her for sure. But hey, anyways, we're off to a great start here on Turfs Up Radio today. We got the world famous Aaron Walls and got us rocking and rolling. And then Darren fell into the Eric and Jennifer's time slot this morning, the turf teacher, and talked to them pretty much as they're driving up to Louisville. They're going to get up here today, and we're going to get out to the expo and see if we can't get our booth set up. Hopefully, they've got the inline booths ready to go. I know sometimes they're ready, and sometimes they're a little slower getting all that finished because they got to get all the equipment inside and all that. And so we'll see. But we're going to try to get our booth set up today. So we're hoping all that works well. So we do them one at a time, right? I mean, that's all we can do things one at a time and move along with it. So hope you guys had a great weekend. And oh my gosh, when we got up this morning, the temperature was crazy good. I mean, it wasn't like it was frosty outside or nothing. There was a little frost on some of the rooftops, but wasn't any ground frost yet. But man, we're going to have a great week of weather. It sounds like here in Louisville for everybody. So temperatures in the 60s is what it looks like it's going to be weather-wise. So and lows in the 40s, maybe upper 30s for Friday morning. So you guys bring something. A hoodie would be good. A hoodie would be good. So other than that, man, we're going to have good weather for you guys getting in here for the expo. So looking forward to seeing you guys and meeting everybody and this nice weather. We're going to try to get our aeration finished this week. We're still got a few of those to go. So we're going to try to get those finished this week and do some landscaping this week. Today we're into predominantly in the mow zone, trying to get a good kickoff on that. But for the week, so other than that, didn't do too much over the weekend. Curious to what you guys might have been doing over the weekend. Addison, my granddaughter, as we talked about Friday, was playing for city championship in their division, and they did not win, but hey, you know what? It is what it is. They got there. They got to play the game. Of course, they wanted to win, but there was a whole lot of teams that didn't even get the opportunity. So, it was pretty hard on them Saturday. But when they sit back and look back on it, a few years from now or whatnot, they'll be, oh, man, remember when we played in the city championship? So that'd be all right. But it was a good day, man. Everybody, Holly came in from Lexington to go to the game, and It was nice. It was good. It was good competitive. What do you call it, Daniel? Just good experience for them. Win, lose or draw, man. I mean, of course, everybody wants to win. And I was really surprised and impressed how it bothered most of them on the team when they lost. I mean, that part was really cool. I didn't expect them to have that much care about losing, you know. So I don't know that there's hope for the competitive spirit in youth sports. After all, gosh, I don't know. So, what'd you do Saturday, by the way? Anything
Not
fun?
much. Just watch some football.
Watched a little football.
Yeah, that was pretty much the
I was,
extent of what I did.
I was going to say I had almost a do nothing really weekend. We went to that, and that was it. Went and out and got a couple pumpkins and to sit on the porch. And Tab made a cool little thing, little pumpkins for the where she works. They have a trick or treat thing for the residents, and each department decorates a pumpkin, of course, to get it festive. And she did a thing of a basket of kittens. So she took a pumpkin and cut it into like a basket look, and then took smaller pumpkins and put faces and nose and ears on them, ears, and turned them into a basket of kittens. Looked pretty cool. So, heck, I don't know if they'll, if she'll win or not for their department, but it sure looked pretty cool to say the least. So, just curious what you guys did this weekend. If anybody wants to shoot me a text, be sure to shoot me a text. You guys got my number. You can reach me on my 502-550-8307, or you can hit me up on the turf line, which is 856-446-8873. So, with that being said, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with more Profit Time here on Turf Stop Radio, your industry, your station. Perfect fall weather, and looking forward to it. A great expo again. So, anyways, wanted to talk about a few things today, and one thing is we're thinking about making a little bit of a change potentially at WLS on how with trailers, and just curious, are any of you guys using the product called the ramp rack? It's the insert for like a 250 or a 350 or a flatbed. Um, just curious if anybody's using anything like that. Because we're looking at it and thinking about maybe, doing two or three of them, just try them out and see what you think. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to ask you guys to see if anybody's using that. Yes, Seth, it is a beautiful day to be in the green industry. Agree 100%, man. Agree 100% with that. So, but we know we're still going to need trailers, right? I mean, we know that. But we were just thinking, just for everyday use and, some mow routes, um, it might make pretty daggone good sense to, have four less tires, less lights, less wiring, less licensing, less insurance. We're always looking at ways to try to improve efficiencies. And I think that might be a pretty decent way of looking at it. And the good thing is, I'm sure these guys will be out at the expo. So, Daniel, maybe you and Katie can run into them at the expo.
Probably will.
Tell them we'll give them a little airtime for a little advice. Give us a little advice on your product. I'm sure they'll be happy to share experience about their and advice on their product. But it looks like a pretty interesting product. Um, but they look really good, and I don't know. I can't imagine nobody here listening to us that hasn't. Somewhat one of you guys have got to have had them or know somebody that's used it. So if you have, shoot me a text, let me know, or feel free to give me a call, and like to know what you know about it. Like I said, we all try to learn from each other, but I think we've looked at them a couple different times, but I really think it's an opportunity to do something a little different. But I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. Aaron says it looks cool, but they're rolling around in bed with the influencers crowd. Um, Interesting. That's pretty interesting. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I get that from their standpoint. They want to get in there and roll around, and they know they got lots of guys right in their demographic of who may be using these things. So I can understand that. So, but we'll have to work on them, Aaron. We have to work on them, I guess, buddy. So, but anyways, I'll just wait to hear from you guys on that. If anybody, has got any input, I would certainly appreciate it. Another thing we're into today is today's the 20th, and guess what that means, Daniel?
Bill Day.
Bill Day. Yes, indeed. It's our favorite day of the month here at WLS. All of our contracted work is billed on the 20th of the month. Get it out and get in those accounts receivable departments, whether it's a residential. Get into the accounts payable department so it can be our accounts receivable, right? So yeah, we always on a serious note on that, but we've talked about it 100 times. We're not going to reiterate the whole thing today, but we like getting them out, and we get them out on the 20th, so they're in our customers' hands prior to the 30th, especially from a commercial standpoint, because most of the residentials now are pretty good about either having cards on file or auto pays in some way or fashion, ACHs, whatever it may be. But yes, the 20th is our favorite day of the month. So another thing we're doing today is talking about accounts receivable is dolling for dollars. But old buddy of mine, Bill Bergman, God rest his soul, but Bill used to call it dolling for dollars, and I learned that from him many, many years ago. And just taking the time and getting on the phone for people that owe you some money, and I think that's something as an industry, Daniel, we could be better at. Um, and as Wayne's Lawn Service, we could be better at it. I mean, even though we've got software that tracks it and rebills and things like that, sometimes it's just a phone call that motivates somebody to do what they should have done, and that's pay their bill. But we'll be me and Katie going to be doing a little dialing for dollars a little later. Katie actually got rolling early this morning. She met a contractor at her house, and two in a row, two showed up. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll. That's pretty good odds. Now Gary will show up if he's going to tell you he's going to show up, but the concrete guy evidently doing his thing too. So that's awesome. We give a shout out to showing up today as well. But hopefully we show up well and on our Dolling for Dollars mission. If anybody would like to participate with us, we'd be happy to give you a few phone numbers and call. But we always have, all joking aside, we always have pretty good uh, luck with that. I don't know how you guys handle it, or do you just let them pay when they want to pay? But we try to stay pretty much on top of that, when it comes to those accounts receivable. But there always seems to be some that are out there, and it gets frustrating trying to get it sometimes. But we'll see, we'll see what happens with it. So I got confidence in Katie's ability. She did really good Friday. She worked on it pretty hard and went pretty well, I think. So we'll see what happens. Another thing that seems to picked up over the weekend was we got a lot of little things going on. It sounds like with our dollar for dollars, our ramp rack idea, and still I can't believe somebody hadn't texted us yet, Daniel, on that. But we'll see. I had my buddy Timmy look at it for me a while back, and he said it looked like it, construction wise was a pretty good deal. And he was saying that you know they can't build them for what
Mm,
they're selling them for. So, which makes sense. I mean, he's building stuff from scratch. So I'm sure they've got these things templated out, and they got their own thing going with it. But looks good. Let's see what we got. Yay! Looks like yay. Sounds awesome. Our buddies, our buddy was Greg, our Canadian friends. He said they're about to cross the border. We're going to bring you some maple syrup.
nice.
Nice. Good deal. Good deal, Greg. Good deal. Good deal. Always look forward to seeing you guys. And let's see, Mike, I appreciate that. Appreciate that. The question, Mike said he lost us for a few seconds. The question was, do you know anything about the ramp rack? That is the insert for your truck to eliminate a trailer. And it holds, a couple mores or two or three mores based on the size you're using. It's got the weed eater racks on it and whatnot. Just trying to see if anybody's using those or know anybody that's used them. Let's see what we got. Stephen West said he thinks Adam, one of the guys here in Louisville, uses.
Hmm.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that, Stephen. Appreciate that reach out on that. So it's always cool to get somebody's ideas that's using something like that. So we'll find out, and who knows? Maybe we'll get one or two to try and go from there. See what's going on. So, Greg, safe travels to you guys as y'all come down. I'm glad you got to make it again this year. I knew you said maybe you weren't going to make it, so glad you guys are going to make the Equip Expo. And by golly, we'd be happy to see you guys when you get here. And one thing that U.S. did do was Greg. Greg, they always bring us some kind of treat from Canada, and it's kind of neat how it's branded differently in Canada than it is here. But they had these Lay's potato chips called All Dressed Up. They brought us one time, and now they're actually available here. I don't know if they're the same, but it's that same name on them, All Dressed Up. But that's I found that kind of neat, Daniel, when they start you know bringing us our little care package, if you will. Um, how things are different,
Mm.
but it's under the same brand name, but they have different things available. But I don't know. Little things like that are pretty cool to me.
It's a big world out there.
It is.
Everybody's got a different cultural flavor, and what sounds good to us sounds weird to some people, and vice versa. I mean,
Right. Right.
I don't think too many people would want eel chips, but they're probably out there in some parts of the world.
Yeah. What were those things you got that time?
Yeah, I can't remember if they were Chinese. I think they were Chinese or Japanese, one of the two, I think, or something. But they
Where
were,
y'all went to? That was in
yeah,
Ohio, wasn't it?
in Cincy. Yeah, it was some sort of place where they have different countries' foods, and some of it's snack food, some of it's like real food, if you want to call it that you can get there. But yeah, we got different types of chips from different parts of the world, and yeah, they all have their different little flavors that they like.
Yeah. So there you go. There you go. You know, Speaking of flavors that you like or don't like, this has got nothing to do with flavor, so it's really more of diversification of services. But we had some pretty good wind around here in our part of the country as that cold front went through. And man, you talk about some leaves and things that got blown around and down. It's certainly kind of the kickoff to the fall season here. It's got really it got cool a month ago or something, but then warmed back up, and it's been really warm since. But that cold front that came through over the weekend with that wind uh, got some good leaves blowing around. I mean, we're nowhere near full blown fall leaf cleanup season, but we got good leaves blowing around now. Quite a few leaves and things were blown out of trees, the loose ones anyway. But we still probably got a couple weeks before it gets too bad as far as leaf cleanups go. But it's good to see it get started, man. Because I know it's weird that it's sitting here October 20th, and we're in the 80s, so but it's good for seeding, man. A lot of the yards that we aerate it and overseed it, and the ones there were total renovations, those were just came in really really well, and that extended warm, keeping those soil temperatures up certainly does help that environment. So uh, kudos to our buddies at BAM Weather for keeping the warm weather around for us. So we'll see. Um, I did see something. Michael with BAM was on the other day talking about this region in the country. Cooling off for sure, but also opportunities for maybe some early snow. Um, Not this week or next week or anything, but certainly he said maybe a week or two before what would be normal for this part of the country.
Wow,
So that'd be all right too.
pretty
Hook them up,
wild.
hook them up. Better, better. And speaking of snow, I want to talk a little bit about snow today, actually. And if you're involved in snow, you've obviously been thinking about it already. But certainly, I don't know what you guys are hearing about material availability. There seems to be plenty of it now at a good price, but I've heard from a couple different sources across the country that I know pretty well, and it's like the stocking orders are really good, but the reality of shortages is real as well. So I just thought I would bring that up if you have not heard that. And I'm not saying that's the reality of it in your market where you're at, but it'd be some good questions to ask. Um, let's see, Greg just sent us a picture of their drive, and some of the trees starting to change colors up north. So yeah, it'll be here before we know it, and leaves will be coming on the ground, and it'll be all right. We'll be vacuuming leaves. Now, a lot of us, and I don't want to get back onto the leaf tangent here, but I do. Um, we'll be doing leaves before we know it. I mean, it's matter of fact, we're putting our box on our truck probably this week. We did have a customer call and request, some leaf service right at the end of last week, and so we'll need to vacuum those up. So we'll probably go ahead and put our leaf cage on our dump truck and one of them, and one of our dump trucks, and get it ready to go and be ready to vacuum some leaves. I mean, the equipment, knock on wood, is ready. Everything's been tested and ran and serviced, and but it's kind of like snow when you do your snow equipment. You think you're ready to rock and roll, and it seems like first time out there's always a little bit of something. So, um, but hey, we're as prepared as we can be. Let's put it that way. But talking more about the snow side and being prepared. Um, Again, getting back to the ice melter concerns, whether you're using white salt or treated salt. I know some of the treated material is not even available in our market. Some is, but I know a lot of guys like to use a product called Clear Lane, and uh, that is not available here in our market. It's having to come to us from Indianapolis if we want it. So the product isn't too crazy priced, but it's the shipping when you get involved in shipping it, 105 miles or 110 miles. But just check. That's what we're gonna leave that with right now. Is just check with your suppliers, and if you're, I know it's a little bit easier for larger services that have the capacity, to store material. But I remember, when I was operating out of my home as a one and a two truck operation and didn't have a place to keep material, that you're worried about it a lot. So be sure to try to, for you guys that don't have the capacity to store quite a bit on hand, at your own facility, either one, work with a supplier and see if they will allow you to engage in an early order program and or store it for you, even if you got to pay. Even if you got to pay to store it, have them keep it. If you say, "Hey, I'll take it in December or I'll take it whenever." I mean, work out what you need to work out for you. But the reality of it is, I've had some pretty good sources tell me that are into the salt business in a pretty big way. Will and that availability could be somewhat of an issue, and it's always an issue once it starts snowing. Just for supply and demand. If it's snowing in a lot of parts of the country, but from what I've heard is that the companies have not done a lot of mining, so the reserve capacity is good right now, but it's not going to be good, once everybody starts drawing on it with different materials. And I just don't want you to get stuck. And or now would be a great time to look at your service agreements. I know it's a little bit late for you guys that already got them in place, but if you're writing new contracts, including some verbiage in those snow contracts about supply, demand, availability, pricing, all those things that get involved in contracts, and until it becomes a problem, a lot of times you don't think about it. You got a pretty well written service contract, but do you have something in there that addresses the availability of ice melters? And if it does become a supply and demand issue, what kind of right do you have as their provider to have a change in price or an increase in price? So that verbiage certainly can be in your contract and needs to be in your contract. And I mean, even if you guys are writing seasonals with capacities or whatever it may be, um, just something you really need to consider and have in place. So hang on to that thought for a minute. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with more Profit Time as we talk a little bit more about snow here on Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Pretty
Already
crazy.
October 20th, and just, gosh, we'll be talking about it in November, and then whew, time flies when you're having fun. Hey, you've been married a week and 2 days now.
Yep.
How's it feel?
Pretty wild.
Pretty crazy. Old married guy now. So there you go. There you go. But hey, talking a little more about this snow thing, and I just, here's something else to think about for you guys that, and I know I can hear some of you guys thinking, Wayne, you're talking about snow, and this should have been organized and dealt with by somebody, back in August or even sooner or whatnot. But, sometimes contractors are a little slow on the uptake on when they decide they want to do some things. Uh,
I think
and
it's good to talk about stuff when you're close to in it too. I mean,
Yeah,
it's good to get that information when you're actually focused on it. When, I mean, it is also, kind of like motivational for somebody to be like, oh yeah, we're talking about snow. It's coming up. I don't think there's a wrong time to talk about anything, really.
I appreciate that. So, and you know, you let me say it like this. I know a lot of you guys think about snow and you're like, "Oh my God, no, I just don't want to get involved in it." And if you're not involved in it, you know, just consider it. Just consider it. Yes, it's different insurance involved. Yes, it's some different equipment involved. But generally, most times you either got a skid steer or a truck. So why not use it a little more and help? Uh, I'm trying to think of the right word. Uh, Basically, if I can bring down my direct cost on that equipment by using it more. So if I'm using it 9 months a year or 8 months a year, but I can use it 10 months a year, or 11 months a year, then my direct cost on that equipment goes down. Now my indirect cost goes up. We're not going to make this a cost analysis today, but so, but the reality of it is, a lot of times we've got the most expensive part of what it takes to get into the snow and ice management side, and that is the equipment, whether it's tractor, skid steer, or truck. You know, uh, and you think, well, yeah, that sounds good, but what about customers? And I think you'd be pleasantly surprised the number of customers that you have that you're providing other services for that would be willing to be uh, a client of yours for snow and ice management. I mean, it's just that's the reality of it. And it doesn't matter if you're in a Louisville, Kentucky market or a Boise, Idaho, or Augusta, Maine, or anywhere in between, Detroit, Michigan. I mean, there's snow seasons are like lawn seasons. They're different, right? I mean, some guys, are mowing all year long. Some guys are mowing 25 times a year, 25 service cycles a year. And the same things with snow. But what I want you guys to understand, even if you're in a low snow market, there's opportunities there for you to have a decent opportunity, if you will, to make some money. Now, a lot of people say, man, I just hate snow. I, I mean, and that's okay if you don't like it. I mean, actually, snow's my favorite thing in the world that we do, quite honestly. I mean, I like snow. I love snow. Now, I'm not, I don't want 20 inches of snow at one time. Would deal with it if we got to, and we have, you know. But at the end of the day, there's an opportunity there for each and every one of us um, that a lot of times we just let it melt away, and that's one of the slogans that I like to talk about is "Don't let your profits melt away" when it comes to snow. Now, there's they can get problematic if you get too many sidewalks. Okay. And I'm just going to say this: the smaller your company is, the less sidewalks you need to be fooling with. You know, there's no sense in spending your time and effort fooling around with sidewalks when you can make a whole lot more money dealing with the pavement side of it, the drive lanes. We can talk about driveways on another show. I'm not a fan of driveways. Guys make a lot of money doing driveways. I'm not spending my time on driveways personally. I'm not telling you guys not to do driveways. I'm just saying when you sit down and you think about it, a lot of times we start with driveways, but we migrate away from it. It's kind of like from the lawn side, we start with the little old ladies on Social Security and move away from that sometimes, because we realize that the opportunity is somewhere else with that. But don't give up or just look at snow and say, man, I don't want to make the commitment. The commitment's probably the hardest part of snow is you're making a 24/7 commitment. But you can also make some really good money at doing snow. And, now the other bad side of it is because, I want to talk good, bad on snow today for a few minutes because we'll talk later on snow on another show. But I just want to keep planting that seed in your mind. Um, Number one is if you're not doing it, to consider it. Yes, it does require different insurance. Yes, insurance is getting more expensive all the time to provide the service. But also, what's happening is quite a few smaller services, because they're not comfortable in knowing how to set it up and how to set it up profitably, are not doing snow because they're getting the cost of the insurance is regulating them out of business, if you will, to a certain extent. So, what's that mean? Well, what that means is, in my opinion, the way I interpret that is, well, we already have reduced competition in a lot of markets anyway. But now, if we got people getting out of the industry because of the cost of the insurance, then it should become more lucrative for those that stay in and understand how to set it up to be a profitable service. And I think it's something that we really need to consider as a smaller company as well. Don't be scared away at the cost of the insurance, you know, um, because it goes back to how do you want to set your accounts up? Do you want zero tolerance accounts? Do you want customers calling you when they want the snow plowed to answer to that snow? You want zero of those. You want zero people that aren't going to let you be the person that's proactive. Reactive snow and ice management services is very expensive service. And that is the reality of it. We've been doing snow and ice since 1987, you know. Um, but I hear you. I hear you. I hear you, Eric. Eric said that he just wants to sit by the fireplace with a turfette and a bottle of wine instead of pushing snow. And then, hey, there is not a thing wrong with that either. That is the negative side of it is the commitment. Whether it's New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Thanksgiving, you do make a 24/7 commitment from the time it might snow to the time it's not going to snow anymore. So yeah, that's why I've tried to throw some of the negatives out there. So I don't make this all look like peaches and cream. But what I can tell you is with the right business model in place with snow and ice management, you do not have to do a whole lot of accounts to make it worthwhile for you. And, you may be saying, well, Wayne, you said not do sidewalks. How do you get out of the sidewalk work? You just tell people you don't do sidewalks. Same way if somebody asks you to do the roof, you're probably not replacing roofs either, most of you, you know. And you say, well, Wayne, those go hand in hand. That's stupid. Well, I can show you a file cabinet of customers we got, and we've got a handful of people that we do sidewalks for. 99% of our accounts we don't do sidewalks for. And it's just because we've convinced them that we don't do walks, but we can give them exceptional service for their subdivisions, their HOAs, their commercial properties, And you'd be amazed how many of them tell you, okay, fine, we'll find somebody else to do the walks. Because that is becoming more of a push point for a lot of people now is the sidewalk side of it, But I just don't want you, I want two different people to hear this and think about it. When I say people, two different types of business owners, okay? Don't think because you get into the snow and ice management business that you got to do driveways because you do not. Okay. There's different things that we can talk about, and you can, you could sub for a company for a couple years to get the experience, or you could learn it yourself. Now, I know I can hear a lot of you guys cringing with experience with me saying that, but the reality of it is, a lot of people learn it on their own. Hell, I did. And I mean, you can. Yeah, does it make it easier working with somebody? That, hey, you can look at their business model, see how they do it, work for them, and use that experience. And, but if you're working with the right person as a subcontractor, you're not being cheated out of money. That's why a lot of people don't like working with subs, because normally they either don't get paid or they don't get paid fairly. And there's a whole lot of both of those that go on, you know? But so, yeah, you got to get with the right company if you want to be a subcontractor. Somebody's going to pay you and pay you fairly. But on the other side of the other side of the street is the model that says, hey, start out with some smaller properties. You don't have to be looking for 2 acre properties or 20 acre properties. Start off with, a half acre or less properties. There's millions of them out there that need service that are small like that. And what you'll find out is that generally when you're working with smaller commercial properties, a lot of times you can key in on, and this is something that we can talk about later on in the profit circle too, but you can key in on a specific niche of clientele that you're going to go after. And what I mean by that is locally owned properties, not working with a national management company where, you got to call and text and take pictures and, all this other BS that before, they want to authorize the work and or you get paid for the work. Put a business model in place for yourself. Do a few. You'll be surprised how few of accounts you can take and really make some decent money. A guy with a single truck and a plow and a spreader, when I say, a tailgate spreader, we're not even going to talk about tailgate versus V-box today. We don't have the time, but there's opportunities for both. And don't let anybody tell you got to have a V-box type spreader. Oh, the material's cheaper. And we can, yeah, of course it is. But hey, well, that's another discussion for another day. But the reality of it is, a single truck, let's just say you got a F-250 or equivalent, and an 8-foot plow and a tailgate spreader, and a fella go out and get him about 8 or 10 accounts, you're going to be putting some food on the table and making some damn good profit dollars. That's the reality of it. And Mike said, Wayne, do you all require retainers on all snow work? Absolutely, we do. I mean, that's just our business model. We started that in, gosh, Mike, I don't even, 1987, I think, 1988, 89, somewhere in there. We started snow in 87, and we worked on some type of retainer. We've fine tuned it since then, obviously. But even at that point, we were getting a retainer, some form of a retainer. And now, yeah, we've got an outstanding retainer system that we use to help prioritize, our work, where we're going, who's first. Because that's the biggest question in snow. It's, a lot of times we think it's how much, but it's really not. It's who's first. Who's first? How do you decide? And to Mike's point, that's how we utilize our retainer system, and how we determine what capacity is for our equipment, and how many hours of service we want to schedule, and that whole thing. That's a whole nother discussion for another day. But I think that I want you guys to know that if you're not doing it, there is a significant opportunity. And if you are doing it, you've probably got an opportunity to fine tune it into something a little different and better than the way you're currently doing it. But we got to be open minded to that change. So, absolutely, Mike. Though the answer is in a retainer deposit system, and you know, and certainly we'll talk about seasonal versus non-seasonal, per push, per event. There's lots of different billing methodologies when it comes to snow and ice. But the $1 million question really when it comes to snow and ice is how much snow are we going to have for a season and how do we prepare? But and my quick answer to that is number one is if you want to sit on the couch and watch love stories and have wine, that's a cool methodology too, Eric. Nothing wrong with that. Very envious of that. But on the other hand, uh, you got to like snow. You really do because it's the unknown of the event. And many years ago, I saw this article somewhere. I think it was on a website called snowfighters.com, but it's there was like 66,000 variables to a potential snow event. Or I'd have to look it up again. Now you can Google that stuff in like 12 seconds, it was but it was like the number of variables in a snow event. So you got to be willing to change on the fly. You got to have a good weather source. You got to have good equipment. Snow and ice is not something you want to get into with half-ass equipment. You don't want to go out and say, "Hey, man, I'm gonna find me $1,000 snowplow and go out and do some snowplow work." Snowplow work is very time sensitive. De-icing work, anti-icing, pre-treats, all that is proactive work. It's got to be on time work. And that's where, yeah, we'll have we'll take a deeper dive into all these things on another show. But, rest of this week for me, I'm going to be out at the Expo and we'll be coming to you live from the Expo starting Wednesday morning out there. Eric is going to cover the prayer breakfast. Him and Jennifer, they got the prayer breakfast covered, and then I think that's going to start like 6 or 6:30. He'll tell you more about that. But we're going to have a ton of live coverage out there for you guys, and going to be great. Going to be great. So, with that being said, we're going to hop off here and see you guys at the Expo Wednesday. We'll be out there all day long. Again, our booth number is 42832. It's 42832. We'll be in the hardscape area. Come out and say hi. We're going to have a giveaways there, so be sure to bring a business card with you, something that's got your name on it. I know a lot of you guys have your cards on your phone now. You don't have a physical card, so have something with your name on it so you can put it into our Eric and Jennifer put together a nice little I'm gonna call it a fish boat. It's not a fish boat, but that concept y'all understand. So anyway, hey, we'll see you at the Expo. Be safe. Appreciate you listening here to my show, and share Turfs Up Radio with all your friends, and stay tuned for the world famous King Darren. We'll see you next time. And remember, profit is not a dirty word.